Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
Bedford's Cost Segregation specializes in generating significant tax savings via their engineering-based studies for commercial real estate clients nationwide. Founded in 2002, Bedford is one of the largest independently owned cost segregation providers in the country, with over 14,000 studies completed to date in multiple offices throughout. The most important decision ownership can make when incorporating cost segregation within their real estate portfolio is selecting the right provider. With only 43 certified cost segregation professionals nationwide, Bedford is proud to employ 8 of them and takes the quality of their people as seriously as their studies. Every certified cost segregation professional has passed a rigorous test combining knowledge of technical engineering issues, legal tax issues, ethics standards, and requires a strict level of prior work experience to be eligible. Bottom line, not all cost segregation providers are created equal. So be sure to take the decision seriously from the beginning to protect yourself for years to come. Please contact Bedford's Business Development Director, Frank Judici, to learn more. This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Apurva Shah. Thanks for being on the show, Apurva.
Thank you so much, Whitney, for having me.
And my pleasure. Real estate has always been a passion for Apurva and has become a way of life in the last 10 years. Today, at Jay's Properties LLC, his focus is on residential and commercial real estate investments, including renovation, rehab, office, multifamily, and mobile home parks. He works very closely with other investors to also teach them how to run their business. Apurva has completed over $40 million in real estate transactions and manages an 8-figure portfolio with Jay's Properties LLC with a back-end focus on operations, negotiating deals for value-add properties, and managing the current and future portfolio. Apurva, welcome to the show. I look forward to hearing more about your story. I know you've managed also to do all this while working full-time, and that is just a common issue for most entrepreneurs, especially getting started. On many that are listening, are in those shoes. I was definitely in those shoes for a long time, and it's difficult, to say the least. I mean, it was a very trying time, to keep everything going and juggling all those plates or spinning them all at the same time, right? Keeping them going. So, but welcome to the show. I want to hear more, a little bit about your background in real estate, and then, maybe what your focus is currently, and then let's, move into your specialty.
Awesome, Whitney. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Real quick background, right? So I always grew up around real estate. My family, they convert office buildings to luxury condos. So growing up, I was always around that, and trying to learn from my parents and see how they were operating that business. And then transitioning when I went to college, I had a deal that I worked on closely where it was in Syracuse, New York, and really got my feet wet on the operations side of it. So really fun, and as I got out of school, I wanted to kind of do my own thing and see, how I can continue to grow and do real estate. So I started out, in single family flips and wholesaling properties, as many other real estate investors start off doing. And then, over the last 4 years, we started Jay's Properties. I met Jackie Yen. He's one of my partners. Great guy. He's also in a W-2 job and has that data analytics background. So for him, he does all of our research and analyzes the deals and helps support part of that underwriting. But then for us, we primarily focus in on now mobile home parks as well as multifamily, and invest primarily in the Southeast market.
Nice. Well, let's talk about your transition here, or just where you're at now, working full time and keeping a business like this going, or even starting a business. Say 40 million, in real estate transactions while working full time is no small feat. So, share a little bit with the listeners just about how do you manage that, and maybe give us a couple of tips on when you were first getting this started, but how that's progressed to where it is now.
Yeah. So, like many folks in real estate, right? I mean, I started the business with almost no money. We were struggling to purchase our first, single family flip. So with us, what we really wanted to do was, we took every dollar, scraped together every penny that we had, and said, okay, hey, let's do this flip. It was in pretty close to downtown Raleigh, where I'm based out of, and then while working full time. I'm a product manager for a large manufacturing firm down in the Southeast, and for us, trying to manage both the day and working at night on real estate was definitely trying. So putting together those processes early on was exactly what we needed to do. So some of those processes included, hiring the right contractors. For the first flip, I mean, we did a lot of it ourselves. So we'd be working that 9 to 5, and then after 5 o'clock, we'd be at the house, tearing down walls and changing toilets and changing cabinets and stuff like that. So it was definitely an interesting progression because, as we continued down flipping houses and wholesaling, it started building up that capital stack, right? And that's probably the one aspect and really important piece of trying to build the business. And once we got to a spot where we're like, okay, well, we're doing well, this is a great business for flipping houses and wholesaling, but you're having to put in a lot of time and a lot of effort in finding these deals, and we want to create more of a passive income approach. Of course, mobile home parks and multifamily, it's not passive, especially if you're operating it, if you're hands-on, and if you're doing the day-to-day. But for us, the big thing was creating those processes around, the property management, and especially in the multifamily side and the mobile home park side, as well as, having the skill set to, building that up with negotiating and learning every aspect of the underwriting process. So one of the big things for us, and I tell our, my W-2 job income leadership this quite often. The skills are transferable. Things that you learn in your W-2 role, they apply to real estate. And then things that I'm learning in real estate, I'm actually reapplying those back into my W-2 job. So, one of the big things I'm learning in real estate was, how to negotiate, how to build processes around making things to, scale the business, right? So you're taking all that and you're actually converting that back into your W-2. You're scaling that company. I manage a product line, right? So, scaling that part and also being able to negotiate with our clients and saving the company, thousands of dollars. So that's been,
right.
Big help on that transition.
You were talking about, just putting together the processes early on. I could not agree more. It's something we help some clients with as well, because if I had known early on what I know now, and just some of the systems, it makes such a big difference, right? It's such a stress reliever. It could have been anyway, just not thinking that I had to do everything manually personally, and that there were some easier ways to make things happen. I know at that point you were flipping homes and rehabbing and different things. Now you're focusing on, a multifamily and mobile home parks. Could you tell us a few of the processes now that are just crucial or that save you time, now that you're moving on to larger type properties versus when you first started?
Sure. So one of the unique things, when you're first starting out, I feel like spreadsheets and Excel spreadsheets are your best friend. So for us, especially when you acquire, right, when you're executing on a multifamily property, you're trying to collect the rent, who's behind, what's going on, and instead of utilizing that spreadsheet, we use Podio. Right. So Podio is a great tool that, we tell our property managers, hey, look, this is the tool you're going to be using. You're going to input everything. And then for us on the back end, when we're sitting at home looking at, how is this asset doing? We're able to pull reports, being able to, okay, so these people are not paying or these people are paying. This is your monthly revenue. And not having to do that manual process of, okay, hey, here's this person. They paid this much, and constantly keep track of it. I think that's probably been one of the biggest time savers But at the same time, when you're looking for these deals, right? I mean, a lot of this is phone calls and networking with brokers and things like that. One of my partner, Jack, he actually, we got Deal Machine. It's a great way to kind of bird dog these opportunities and see where, what are the hot areas and kind of pull together that research. There's city data, there's all these different things. So pulling data together is probably the core and that of our business. And that also translates to how we're approaching and finding these deals, right? I know a number of investors, right, where they're just throwing out thousands of offers, yearly, and maybe they get 5 or something like that, which is one way to go about this. But for us, we've been concentrating on location and continuously pulling that data where it's a lot easier than trying to fly out and travel to all these places, and using that kind of process in line with utilizing Deal Machine to kind of put it all together.
Yeah. Speak a little bit to just the integration of family and day job and not so much process now, but like actually making things happen throughout the day. Right. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, like, early on you get off your, W-2 and then it's like, man, you're right to that flip or whatever it is. And you're in there tearing down a wall. But now that, things have changed or you've grown quite a bit, what does that look like now? I mean, working with your day job and now doing, larger deals.
Sure. So, basically routine has been important, right? So, our early mornings, prior to even jumping onto the day job, my partners and I, we have calls. We'll make sure we line up things correctly with our property managers, with the folks that, the core tasks that need to be completed, during 9 to 5, right? I mean, that is important. That is key window. And for us, while we're working, things still need to be getting done. So early morning, we'll have conversations discussing what we're going to be doing throughout the day. And then we'll also, around 5 o'clock, we'll actually touch base again saying, okay, these are the things that did get done. These are the things that didn't get done. I, like many of us I'm married. I don't have any kids yet, but that also plays a role, right? I can't be working 24/7 anymore. When
it better play a role.
Yeah, 100%. Right. So, having that flexibility has been important as well, because, my wife understands, there's going to be phone calls that are going to happen at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. just because of the nature of that business. And, I love my wife so much because, we've been able to work through that. I've been trying to do better. I'm trying to put my phone away and things, especially when we're more family time and things for us alone. So,
yeah. So what is your, focus in your business right now? Where do you see, just the next growth happening? What's your next big thing?
Yeah. So we're certainly continuing to scale the business by acquiring more properties. But while we're doing that, we also need more staff. So we're in the process of looking for, another project, basically operations person. I'm only one person. I currently manage our property managers, and then we also have a property coordinator that works through and deals with the day-to-day on the operations side. But again, a lot of that still comes back to me. So for us to continue to grow, we need to increase our staff. We need to increase, trying to build the team around the properties that we currently have. And also, we're in the process of trying to acquire another about 100 or so units. And with that, there's going to be someone else who's probably going to be coming in full time as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're continuing to think through how you can streamline your processes, right? And you're thinking about who do we need to bring onto the team so we can be as efficient as possible, and even do it better, potentially, because, you're not pulled in so many different directions.
Exactly.
What about, is your plan to continue the schedule or to plan to leave your W-2 at some point?
Yeah, so I get asked this quite a bit. When is that right time to transition into doing your business full time? And to me, the answer, I guess, I don't have a clear cut answer for that. And the reason being is, I love what I do on my W-2. It's been a great ride, but at the same time, you also have to look at the balance of how much, you're going to be working and how much, effort it takes. So the goal is, continue to scale that real estate business, and then hopefully transition over the next, few years and see what that looks like. For us, we've had organic growth. I've talked to, folks that buy 1,000 units a year, and that's amazing, starting out, and good for them. For us, we've had a little bit of slower growth. We bought 200 units last year. It's still significant for us, but we want to continue down that organic growth and scaling in that way.
Tell me, what's been the hardest part of this growth and this process in real estate for you to get to where you all are at now?
Sure. Yeah. I would say, I think that the biggest aspect has been time, right? I mean, time is incredibly valuable for us. Being able to focus in on what truly matters has definitely been a core item that we're trying to work through. And even though we're putting together these processes and it's giving us time back, that's absolutely amazing. But also the team side of it, you want to be around a team that's going to be, self-sustaining. They're able to do it. You're not having to manage every aspect of it. And that's also been, it's been a little bit of a concern, but we're actually getting through that. I think over the last month, we've actually done a lot better of basically putting together, hey, these are the core things that you guys need to be doing. Here are the processes. If like something happens, these are the people to contact. This is not something the partners need to be a part of or having conversations around. So having those expectations around our team has also definitely been helping us to get to this next step.
For sure. What would you, knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently, say, on your first few deals, or maybe even just your mindset in general?
Yeah, I think my mindset is certainly important. I wouldn't say I would do anything different because, we've learned so much over the last year, a number of years on how to structure deals, how to flip deals, things like that. And with that being said, right, I think probably for the first couple of deals, it may not, we probably didn't need to do everything. We didn't need to be the ones doing the construction and things like that. Understanding how much, the construction costs, those are important because, that's obviously you're going to be paying folks to do this. So I would say probably pulling back the reins a little bit and letting the contractors, letting the folks, that are the experts on that aspect of it, not the business side of it. And for us to focus in on the business, not, we rather work on our business versus in it.
Sure. What about when you all are looking at deals right now, especially from what's happened over the last year, how are you preparing for another downturn?
Yeah, that's definitely a great question. We get asked that quite a bit. The big thing is reserves, right? We want to keep at least six to about 6 months to about a year worth of reserves. And now is that possible for every single deal? Not all the time, because we're going to have CapEx. We're still trying to improve these properties. We're adding value. We're reinvesting back into the communities that we're purchasing, but what we're seeing is in mobile home park investing, these are probably the more recession resilient communities. So for our portfolio specifically, we're seeing 95% on-time payments for across the board for our mobile home parks. Now for our multifamily side of it, that's not necessarily the case. So for our multifamily side, we're consistently trying to make sure we have enough reserves in the event something does happen over the next next few months, or and we've started planning for that since last March, right? It's definitely been a crazy year, right, for many folks, for real estate investors, for the tenants, and you're of course going to have some bad apples in the pie as tenants. So making sure you're tailoring that, for us, we're not trying to just kick out people, and there's a human aspect of this as well. It's not just the business. So we're trying to work with folks instead of telling them, hey, look, you just got to pay. They lost their job and you have to pay all this rent. Let's cut it back. Let's see if there's payment plans, forget the late fees and try to waive it and, support these people versus trying to just get them kicking them out onto the street.
I love even the first thing you said was the reserves, right? Having, 6 months, 8 months, whatever reserves. I don't hear that very often. Us personally love to have, 6 to 9 months, if not more, in reserves. And I just think nothing is like having that cash there if something happens, right? It's just, there's a lot of comfort in that. And I think for our investors as well. Do you have any predictions for the next, or just in real estate over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah. So, we're seeing compressed cap rates all across the board, right? In mobile home parks and in multifamily. And my expectation is that there's still going to be consistent, especially in the major metro areas, we're going to keep seeing very, very competitive market, like for I guess properties that are on the market, off market, maybe mom and pop shops may have a little bit of a pullback, but those are those are not, that's not often that we're going to see that. So my biggest thing is, I think, we're going to keep focusing in on how we're structuring our deals, making sure that we're able to continue to focus in on things that actually matter for our business versus, the economical piece, which I'm sure, people are going to say it's going to go up. People are going to say it's going to go down. We want to focus in on, okay, we have mobile home parks. Are people paying? Are people doing, the right things? Are rules being followed? And then continue to reinvest back into those communities.
Apurva, do you have any daily habits that you are disciplined about that have helped you achieve success?
Yeah, I would say those morning calls with the partner is certainly the most important for us. That's probably for the business side, and for the personal side. I believe in working out. I think it clears my head. It helps me focus in early morning to just get through to see what needs to happen throughout the day. Right? That's usually my time to hone in on exactly what I need to focus in for the day.
Is that an every day, morning call with your business partner?
So it is typically at least three days a week. For us, it's just because we're both working that full-time job. Some days we know exactly what we need to be working on, because we'll also have that call typically at 5 just to make sure we're all on the same page. And a lot of that carries through. We'll say, okay, we don't need to have this call just because we know exactly the next steps.
Yeah. Is there an agenda that you have? Like, do you try to keep it to 10 minutes? Do you try to keep it 30? Is it just as long as it needs to be? Is it like, okay, is there any kind of thought process to this is what we're discussing on this call?
So for us, we have our typical task list. We also utilize Podio as more of our hey, like these are the core properties that we need to be working on and what needs to happen on those properties, whether it be underwriting or due diligence or whatever you have. So what we'll do is we'll go through those pretty quickly. It'll probably take about 30 minutes. We try not to keep calls for more than 30 minutes because after that it starts cutting into the day job side of it, but also there's only so much brain capacity you're going to have to do this, right? So for my biggest recommendation is try to keep calls really short, keep it to the point, and we're really just wanting to make sure that these specific tasks are getting done. And if you don't know how to get it done, let's figure out a way to help each other on it.
What's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
Yeah, so great question. Not accepting no as an answer, and I'll touch a little bit more on that. So during our initial deals when we were investing in mobile home parks, we'd get no from lenders, we get no from investors. They're like, "Oh, mobile home park, why would you want to do that?" Right? Especially when you approach a lot of these bigger banks. And for me, I think the biggest thing was not accepting the no, but it was understanding the feedback behind the no. So was it the language that we were using? Was it something that we were doing personally that was causing that no? And iterating. I think my biggest takeaway from that was, continuing to iterate on how you're presenting deals to lenders, to investors, and finally getting to that yes. I think that was probably the biggest key to our success, especially, just being able to iterate, not just hitting our head against the wall and doing the same thing over and over again, but iterating and making it better.
And how do you like to give back?
Yeah, so for us, it's the biggest thing is focusing in our communities. These are lower income housing, right, for mobile home parks. And what we do is we bring in our team where, myself, our basically core team actually goes in and sets up time where we'll work with single moms, or we'll work with folks that, might be struggling. We don't know exactly what's happening on the day to day on these communities. So for us, we want to spend our time with them. We want to see how can we help you create budget models or figure out, what's been, what are you missing in life? Is it something in the community that we can do, or is it something personally that we can do? For us, spending 2 hours or a couple of hours on something like this and helping those that need the help, we love that. I mean, we love seeing our tenants happy, and it also helps the morale in that community where they're like, okay, well, these people are giving back. They're actually helping, and I want to continue to live here. Right. So our retention stays there as well.
Apurva, it's been a pleasure to meet you and hear about your story and just pushing, to close on over $40 million in real estate while working full time. I know that for is no small task, and I love just hearing about that process, how you put processes in place early on and the importance of that, how you use Podio, and other people can find other CRMs, other things like that work for them. I've heard Podio talked about a lot, but having those things in place. And so you're not having to think about them as much. For one, you're more organized, you're more structured, things can be just more routine. But then also, how you all have grown to now hiring an operations manager and other people on your team so you can be more efficient and be ready and prepared for more growth. And then even your morning calls with your business partner, I think that's, 3 days a week. Sometimes that can be challenging to get all those in. But I agree, it can be so important just to ensure you're both pushing towards the same goals. You can help each other. You're thinking different things, so you can, pull together on those thoughts and discover how to accomplish things faster. So just appreciate you elaborating on all those things. Tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there. So feel free to connect with me on there. It is Apurva Shah, Apurva, and last name Shah, Shah. Feel free to visit our website, connect with us, click the contact us on there. It is Jay's Investments, JAYS, investments.com.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.